Hello, hello, good heavens, what have we here? It's the Groovy Bean Radio Show with your host Yvonne Palermo. I say pour a spot of tea and join her here on the flippin' radio. Pip pip, cheerio, and all that rot.
There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition. It's called the Groovy Bean Show, with host Yvonne Palermo. So if you dare, join her now on Paranormal Into the Night Radio.
Very interesting. Your papers are not in order. Then you will listen to the Groovy Bean radio transmission with Yvonne Palermo, and you will like it.
Space, the final frontier. These are the continuing episodes of Yvonne Palermo, Starship Commander on the Groovy Bean Radio Show.
Damn it, Jim, I'm a UFO researcher, not a doctor.
Groovy Bean welcomes co-pilot Jim Nichols on this production adventure. Ms. Palermo, warp speed.
Hey, hey, happy summer evening, Paranormal Into the Night listeners. You have just arrived in Groovy Bean territory, the place where seeds grow. We spark change, all us beings here to feed the planet. I am your host, Yvonne Palermo, and thank you for tuning in tonight and joining me on the Groovy Bean journey. It's time to kick off your shoes and get those toesies of yours grounded in some Mother Earth soil. Pour some lavender iced tea goodness. Call in your friends to listen and keep an ear out for the Bigfoot hollers as we dive into another 2-hour show coming to you live from the Cascadia Mountains. So, tell your friends, pass on the word, and let's get our awakened family growing. Groovy Bean is every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Tonight's show is produced by Dino E. Welt, because behind the scenes takes talent and work, and the PITN team has it all. Tonight's intro of fun, what, is Mr. Jim Nichols' creation, one of our reoccurring beans of wonder goodness. Always honored to have him on the show when he pops on in. Holy social media pants, do a dance. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, give it a like, Instagram, and YouTube at Groovy Bean. That is spelled GROOVIEBEAN. My website is now at .com, friends. That's right, groovybean.com. There you can find the upcoming list of shows as well. If you like, you can subscribe to my website and you will get an email from me. Yep, me, Groovy Bean. So stay in the know. At this time, I'd like to send a holler out to our friends of goodness in the live chat room and, of course, to all you listeners. And I see you, Nick Keen. I see you, Cygnus. I see you, Adonna. Thank you. And I hope you're all joining us in that chat. Yeah. If you'd like to join us in the live chat, please go to www.pitnradionetwork.com. Here you can chat away as long as it is respect to all who gather here. I see you, Stone Hobbit. Yes, I do. I see you in that chat. The rules are as follows. To ask a question for any of us on air, you must have all questions in capital letters. Helps us see those questions, folks, so thank you kindly. Last but not least, we are a donation station. The sheep don't sleep here, so if you like what you hear and you want more of it, show the Babylonian love Duff-Dubbies. Click that donate link and follow through. If you like to donate to a personal host, please click the donate tab at the top. Now, if you are interested in advertising with us here at Paranormal Into the Night Radio Network, please send an email to groovybean@gmail.com. As we are new here in Spreaker land, be patient with our learning and our website as we grow. We do have a chat in Spreaker, but we would like to focus on the PITN Radio Network.com chat. If you can't get in there, it's okay. We can still see you on Spreaker, so feel free to hit up the love button and follow us as well. You will be notified if you do follow of our show times. All the past shows as well can be heard on PITN Radio Network on Spreaker, so please pass it on and thank you for the support. Now, a little special added note tonight. Jim Nichols, yeah, he's going to be joining us as well. He's going to be at MUFON this month in Tempe, Arizona on June 25th. Tolek, our special guest, Mr. Jim Nichols, and I will be speakers at the Transformational Shift Events conference in October. If you'd like more details, friends, please go to www.transformationalshiftevents.com. Now, as an added note, the 3-day conference is being organized and produced by Tolek with assistance by JD and Jim Nichols. Yeah, you can call them a collaborative group, the Arizona Connection. So, before I bring on our guests and folks getting settled and tune in to our new station, I would like to thank you all. Happy Friday evening. This is a big night. My first Groovy Bean show was last night, and those of you that did tune in, I'd again like to thank you. We had a great discussion on how to know you are raising your consciousness. And Derek Faust, my brother from another spacey mother. Yeah, he's a contactee. He joined us as well. And if you'd like to hear that show, you can just pop onto that Spreaker. Now, friends, let's bring on Mr. Nichols before we bring on our special guest and see how he is. So, Mr. Nichols, are you there?
I believe so.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Groovy Bean. It's always a pleasure to join you on your shenanigans.
Yeah. That's
so let's have some more fun tonight. Huh?
Exactly. And now, folks, if you are not familiar with Jim Nichols, his website is jimnicholsufo.net. He is a UFO researcher, a amazeballs artist, UFO illustrator. So for those of you that are lucky and can attend the MUFON, that's pretty exciting. Are you excited about your MUFON talk?
Absolutely. They're going to see the history of my artistry at the MUFON next Saturday. So it's something I have never shown before. So along with a tribute to my dear friend Wendell Stevens.
Wow. Oh, that is wonderful. And folks, I'm telling you, I know most of you UFO folks out there, when you see Mr. Nichols' artwork, you can be like, oh, I've seen that. I know this man. So wonderful. And I'm getting excited about October. How about you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I know we'll be talking about that towards the end of the show. How was your day today, Jim?
Well, we're just enjoying the lovely sunshine here in southern Arizona. It's only 104 today. It's supposed to be 114 by Sunday, and that's a cool spell here in Tucson. Phoenix is supposed to get to 120. So for all you sunshine fans, we got more than we know what to do with here in Arizona.
Whoa, 120. Wow. I don't even know what to say to that one. That's too hot.
This is what Arizona does every summer, so it's standard fare.
Yeah. So listen, you know the gentleman we are bringing on for tonight's guest. We have Tolek. So let me tell our lovely listeners. And again, what do you think of the new radio station, Jim? Pretty cool, huh?
Well, this is my premier participation on the news station tonight, so we'll see how it works.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you.
You seem to be thrilled with it, and I want to be thrilled too.
Amazeballs. Go ahead,
yeah.
Jim Nichols, say that word. Do it.
What, amazeballs?
Yes, that is my quest. I'm going to have everybody say that just for Dino back there behind the scenes. So listen up, listeners. I'm going to tell you a bit about Tolek. Yes, I am. Tolek is a human representative of the Andromeda Council, an intergalactic, interstellar, and interdimensional governance and development body of aligned benevolent star systems and planets of sentient, intelligent life for worlds in both the Milky Way and Andromeda galaxies. He's been given the name Tolek as an Earth-based public persona named by the 5 people with whom he regularly communicates, who are stationed on the primary Andromeda Council biosphere. There are presently 12 Andromeda Council biospheres stationed in this solar system, 3 relatively close to Earth. Tolek's first consciousness fully awake contact as an adult in 1993 was with his principal Andromeda Council contact person, the commander of the primary Andromeda Council biosphere, who, like Tolek, is originally from the planet Dakota. in the Tagada star system in the Pleiades. Tolek learned from this man that Tolek's soul origin was first birthed on the planet Dakota, and I gotta check on my pronunciations, heaven's sakes, the Genesis planet of the Lakota, Dakota, Nakota, and many other Western Native American peoples. In the late summer of 1993, the same commander took Tolek on 3 closely clustered together but separate time travel trips via an Andromeda Council scout craft back in time to the 1840s to an area of rural Kentucky or West Virginia to observe a family of 4 in the day-to-day life struggles. So this is pretty amazing. And Tolek says his communication with them happens via a variety of modalities, folks. That's right. Telepathic communication while he's completely awake and conscious. Communication with him in his sleep, dream state. Brief snapshot. Photographic images as well as a streaming movie shorts. Some automatic writing. And 5th, interdimensional travel of his soul essence, as well as the physical travel of his Earth human body to Andromeda Council biospheres where many council and subcommittee meetings are held, where Tolek also holds a position on the Joint Earth Council Subcommittee. Tolek is aware of in excess of 100 plus physical visits he has had the primary Andromeda Council biosphere that continues today. And friends, if you would like to check out Tolek's website, it is www.andromedacouncil.com, and I would like to spell that for you if you are new to this word Andromeda. It is ANDROMEDACONCIL. And he does have a YouTube channel, which is Tolek from Dakota, or Dakota. TOLECFROMDAKOTE. And again, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Paranormal Into the Night. I'm Yvonne Palermo. You've just arrived in Groovy Bean. We are joined with Jim Nichols, and let's bring on Tolek. Tolek, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's been a very busy Friday. Very busy week, for that matter.
Busy couple months, for that matter, for you, I would have to say. Yes. And Jim Nichols, are you still with us, I hope?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Okay. So, Tolek, we have many folks tuning in for you, and this is just wonderful that you are here joining us. I would like to know, first, did I pronounce those words correctly for you? Because it's not words that I say often.
Right. Dakota.
Dakota. Thank you.
Dakota. Yeah, there's it's like EY on the end.
Right.
That kind of
got
reflection.
I like that. I love that. Now, we talked a little bit there about in the intro there about your first conscious, fully awake contact as an adult. Did this go back to your childhood at all?
They tell me that, my contact people tell me that they've been in communication with me since age 5, and that there were major contact moments in my life, kind of like 12, 17, 18, something like that. Sometime in my late 20s, like 27, 28. They told me that these things have happened in terms of contact, but I don't remember them at all. The one that I do remember is the first, major conscious communication that I had was this time travel trip back in the late summer of '93. And that's, go ahead.
Yeah. So how did you time travel?
It can be a long story, but essentially,
that's okay.
I was in my bed sleeping, and it was late summer. I want to say, well, in Tucson, it would be midsummer.
Okay.
It was August. I think it was late third, fourth week August, something like that. And it was around 3:30, 3:40 in the morning, something like that. And I started to hear communication from this male voice that I recognized. Now, I was a single guy back then. I'm a single guy now. There was nobody in my condo. I was living up on Oracle Road next to the Catalina Mountains. And so I'm in the condo by myself. I'm in my bed by myself. There's nobody around. And yet I hear this gentleman's voice in my head. Just like you and I are talking, you and I and Jim are talking to each other, and we can hear each other with our ears. I'm hearing with the same kind of clarity this man's voice in my mind. And he basically said, "Hey, get up." I'm like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "You got to get up and you got to meet me." Now, for some reason, and I know why now, but back then I didn't know. For some reason, I recognized his voice. I recognized the sound of his voice. It would be just like if I got on the phone with Jim Nichols and we were having a conversation. When he picks up the phone, I know exactly who it is. As an example. Well, same kind of situation with this man who's the commander of the primary Andromeda Council Biosphere. I recognized his voice right away. And he said, "I need you to get up, get dressed, get a hop in your vehicle and drive down the highway and get off at the exit for San Javier, the mission." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's I-10 south to I-19 and I get off." It's like, "Yeah, whatever you got to do, but you got to do it and you got to move because it's 4 o'clock or it's approaching 4. Daylight's coming soon. You got to move." I went, "Yeah, all right, fine." I went to the bathroom, threw my clothes on. I turned it in East Coast car by that time. I'd gotten rid of the black car with the leather, and I was driving an old beat up Ford Bronco 2. And so I knew that I could go off road if I needed to. So I hopped on I-10, went down 19, got off the exit. And I think actually that exit for Santa Vera is right at 10 and 19. And so I got off, and what he said was, "Make sure you take that exit and the first dirt road you see on the right, hop on that dirt road and go off into the desert." I'm like, "Excuse me?" He said, "No, just do it." I went, "Okay." So I did. And I drove down there. It was I guess I got there about 24 or 25 after 4. I mean, it's early morning. Nobody's going to work yet. And I get off the road. This dirt road has a little bit of an up and down terrain, not much because it's pretty flat down there, but I drove for what would probably be maybe a quarter or a third of the mile into the desert. And there was this teeny little wash, not a ravine, but a wash. And I went down into the wash and I came up the other side and there's this craft, silver, what people would describe as a UFO. It was about 35 to 40 feet in diameter. And so I went, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Stopped my vehicle, hopped out of the car. I saw him standing there. This guy was tall, 7'4", 5, 6, something like that. In a one-piece jumpsuit, long hair. And I recognized his face. Didn't know why, but I recognized his face. And I'm all excited. I'm like a little kid. Now keep in mind, I'm probably like 32 or 33 at the time. And I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm yelling across the desert. "Good to see you." And I'm waving, and like he's using his hand. He's like, come on, you gotta move. I'm like, "Hey, it's good to see you again." He goes, "Will you please move? It's gonna be daylight soon." And I don't necessarily want a whole bunch of people that will be driving into Tucson for work to see my craft sitting here.
Right.
Yeah, okay, fine. So I close the door, lock the thing up, and I run over. And he's probably about 75 feet away from me. He doesn't give me a hug, but he sort of puts his hand on my shoulder, and he says, "Okay, we're gonna take this trip, and you've got to take, at least this is what I remember, you've got to take this like little kind of blue-green pill. Think of like a NyQuil gel cap kind of thing."
Okay, I've seen those.
You know, like liquid gel cap.
Right.
And I said, "Okay, why am I doing this?" He said, "Well, because as a 3-dimensional organic human, you cannot do what we are going to do in your current form." I said, "Okay, well, what are we going to do?" He said, "Well, we're going to go back in time on your planet in the 1840s, and you can't travel as a 3D organic human. We've got to raise your vibratory rate at least up to 4D. Oh, okay, that's reasonable. Took the pill. We get inside the craft and we take off, and it's sort of like seconds. It only takes seconds to get off the planet's surface. It's completely quiet, and we are probably returning to 1840s Earth, what I seem to remember as somewhere like 4 to 5 minutes later. That's kind of like what it felt. Now, I don't remember a lot of the things about the inside of the ship, but what I do remember upon walking in the door is that what appeared to be a ship externally of approximately 35 to 40 feet in diameter, on the inside looked like 100 to 125 feet in diameter inside.
Right.
This is weird.
Well, I would think everything was a little weird too. Yeah.
So I took this same trip 3 times over the course of a week and a half. And what we would do is we would come into 1840s Earth space, somewhere what looked to be Western Virginia or Kentucky, very rural. Of course, a lot was rural back then, but I just kind of knew that's where we were. And we observed this family, a mom, a dad, a son, like 9, 10 years old, and a daughter about 3 or 4 years old, in their day-to-day lives. Trip 1, trip 2, they were pretty much the same, just daily activities. Like a lot of other people at that time, they had a home, porch, a barn with hay and with horses and cattle and then some other things. You know, it was a living, working farm, cornfield. Trip number 3.
Okay.
We are observing them again. Now, when I say observing, we're in the craft. I don't know how high off the planet's surface, but we're in the craft. I can easily see them. It would kind of be if you were looking 30 or 40 feet or 50 feet away. That's the perspective that I had looking at the view screen in the craft, though I'm sure we were a lot higher off the planet's surface. And there was a fire in the barn. And to make a long story short, some of the animals died, a bunch of hay burned, the barn went up in flames. And what I learned from that experience is that the daughter, again, keep in mind, this is almost like I'm telling you about a movie that I saw. That's kind of the way it feels. Right. We found out that the daughter, the 3 to 4 year old daughter, who was sort of like I guess there's a term that people use, the apple of the father's eye, the gem of his world.
Sure.
She had passed away in the fire due to smoke inhalation. Okay. So she passed before anything had happened to her body, but she passed away. And it was a devastating experience for the family, but it was really especially so for the father. And so I turned and I looked to this gentleman who's the commander of the primary Andromeda Council Biosphere, I learned later, and I said, okay, I understand traveling back in time, and can you tell me, there's got to be a really good reason for you wanting me to see this experience.
Sure.
And he said, one reason is that genetically, if we go down your genetics of your family, you are physically related to these people. Okay, all right. And he said, but more importantly, now keep in mind this is this late summer of '93, and certainly in the Tucson, Phoenix, and Sedona markets, people are starting to wake up. The whole concept of extraterrestrials and UFOs and outer space travel and the whole metaphysical community. This was a time of great awakening.
Sure.
But it was still nowhere near where we are today in 2016. And what he essentially said was, your planet is entering an era of change, a pretty dramatic change. And in order for us to better understand you humans, we and I wanted to see this experience through your eyes, through your emotional response, through your feelings, because where we live and where I experience life and the other people I work with experience life. And at that time they were mid fourth dimensional.
Okay.
These days they are fifth dimensional people. But he said, the way we live, we don't die. We go 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years. We have certain life experiences over the course of that time, thousands of years as you on Earth would calculate them.
Okay.
And then we decide that we've learned as much as we can as 4D humans, fourth dimensional humans, and we just decide we're going to evolve and become 5D humans, and that's what we'll do someday. Mm. I said, okay. So he said, and therefore we don't die. And because we don't die, we don't experience the emotional trauma that you Earth people seem to when you lose a loved one. And we wanted to observe you and your emotional responses to better grasp, better come to grips with Earth humans as they go through the process of death and loss and the emotional trauma from that experience. Mm-hmm. I was affected.
Sure.
It bothered me to see this whole situation. I was deeply moved by it. And it was profound. Interestingly enough, there were other experiences later in my life that also had to do with the physical death of certain people, either on spacecraft or other situations. So this theme, I think, was revisited either 2 or 3 times over the coming years during my life in Tucson, simply for the purpose of utilizing me as a vehicle or a conduit, if you will, for them to better understand the greater emotional roller coaster ride that we as humans typically have. Because from what I understand, even though they don't have death, even having said that, in the higher dimensions, let's say the breadth of our emotional experiential ride is like from 0 to 50. The breadth of their emotional experiential ride is like 15 to 35. They just don't, they're not as, for lack of a better word, they are not as dramatic as we are at all. Okay. And Earth humans are especially dramatic compared to other humans across the different, the cosmos, the different galaxies, different. So we are unique because of all the things that we've experienced on this planet.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Now, when you see him by the craft, for folks trying to visualize, was this the quote unquote, the typical saucer?
Prototypical saucer. Think of a Jim Nichols illustrated Pleiadian beam ship.
Of course.
For lack of a better description, it had that kind of a look to it.
What color hair did he have?
He's definitely dark-haired.
Dark-haired.
And he's dark-haired because most of, when I say I'm talking about the people that are part of my race of people, where my soul was originally birthed, which is Dakota. You have a whole planet of people that look like Native Americans. And so think of Dakota, Lakota, Apache, Comanche, Cree, Crow, Chippewa.
Sure.
Most of the Western Native Americans.
Love that.
That's their lineage. They are the great grandchildren of people from Dakota. So he looks like a Native American, but just a tall one.
Right. Now, so when you see him, he's obviously taller. Did he take a capsule too, or is it because?
No,
how does that work?
Yeah, and I don't know if the capsule was an exact experience or the memory that they wanted me to have to make the experience of shifting from 3D to 4D a lot easier. But what I do know, what I've since over this 5 years worth of work, what I've learned is that a fourth dimensional human with technology, minimal technology, I may add, but with technology, they can manifest an organic 3D human body.
Mm-hmm.
And they would need to use some kind of technology to hold that body together for a while. Now I'm talking like days. If they're going to keep the form for days on end, they need some kind of, if you will, like microchip technology. It's probably smaller than a dime, but
right. Mm-hmm.
if it's only for a few hours, they can do it on their own.
Okay.
But
okay.
that's why I was able to see him. That's why I was able to see him as a solid form, because he had manifested a 3D organic.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so you take this pill, and how do you get into this craft? Is there a ramp? Is there do you float up?
There was a small ramp.
A small ramp. Okay. And so when you're traveling through, going back in time, you said it was like 5 minutes. What was the sensation of what was the sensation of the ship moving? Or
minimal sensation of the ship lifting off from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
In space, no sense of movement at all. None.
Yeah. Okay.
And as a matter of fact, we did not travel distance. I mean, we did a little bit to get off the planet's surface, but beyond that, we went through what people would call an Einstein-Rosen bridge. You can call it a wormhole. You can call it a Stargate. Basically, their technology, they just fold space, and they go, all right, we want to go from here to here.
Right.
And
you didn't feel sick or get any?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Could you see outside? Could you see into? In space? Did you see?
I could see. Of course, I could see the sun. I could see the other planets. As we were lifting off from Earth, and
right.
Of course, there's the moon, but that's all pedestrian kind of information. I mean, it was a trip that was taken primarily for him and them to better understand us as humans and how we respond. And I'm only one example, but it was easier for me to tap. It was easier for them to tap me on the shoulder because I'm originally from their planet.
Right.
And so we all know each other. I've worked up there before, and they're like, "Hey, you got a job to do." Okay.
Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. Jim Nichols, do you have any questions so far for Tolek?
Yeah, I got a big question.
All right.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Come on. What your audience may not realize is that I knew Tolek at that time, and I was busy every Friday night doing co-host on a live TV talk show on public access television here in Tucson, and Mr. Tolek used to run camera in Studio A at the same time, and it's like this is a revelation to me that in 1993 you had this experience and you never showed it. You never shared it on UFO AZ Talks TV show with Ted and myself.
Okay, well, that issue is easy to address. No, I don't. I don't have any problem with that one at all.
Okay.
First of all, I'm happy to tell everybody that there was a period for. I went to. It was myself, Roger and June Scher, Alan Benz, and a whole bunch of other people every Friday night. Well, I think it was every Friday night for a little while, but it ended up becoming a regular every second Friday night. And there would be like somewhere between 40 to 50 and 65 people showing up on these Friday evenings for UFO AZ Talks with Ted Lohman, Jim Nichols, and Peggy Kane. And I attended these things because I was curious, and I enjoyed the company of the people that were there. And I remember seeing Wendell Stevens speak. I remember seeing, and this is before we actually met, but I remember seeing Wendell speak. I remember seeing Bob Dean speak. I remember seeing Colin Andrews, the crop circle guy, Drunvula Melchizedek. And I think it was like 94, 95. There were some changes that happened in my life, and somehow there was an opening spot for Camera 3. And what Jim can I think testify to is that I don't know if anybody else out there has ever run a camera, and I'm talking about a studio television camera. When you're behind a camera, you are listening to the directions of literally the technical director, because the guy in the booth is directing camera 1, which is, I think, far left. Camera 2, which is dead center. Camera 3 was on the far right, which is where I was. And so we had headsets on, and we were always hearing the technical director giving directions to all three of us. And so here's my summary. Because I had to pay so close attention to what the technical director was saying, I couldn't tell you who I watched in those years that I was behind camera 3. And I ran it for 3 years. I have no clue. None.
But were you somehow directed by the Andromedans to get involved in that
No.
TV show activity?
Subtly maybe, but my conscious knowledge of my 1993 3 times travel back in time travel trips came about in September of 2010. It was the reawakening and the recollection.
You'd had that experience in 93.
Didn't know about it.
It was still a memory that had been screened at that point.
Right, exactly.
How interesting.
It was screened until September of 2010.
Oh, very interesting.
And a whole bunch of stuff came flooding forward.
Because we would have had you in front of the camera.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We would have had a camera coming down your throat. Had we known that at that time? That's very interesting.
I had no clue. All I knew was I attended a meeting that was being hosted by June Scherer, who at that time was the Assistant State Director, Pima County, Tucson, for MUFON, and her son Roger were holding this meeting. It was March. It was either March of 91 or March of 92, one of those 2 years. And it was on a rainy Saturday, and it had been raining and raining. And I think it was 91 because it was my first winter in Tucson. And I remember umpteen weekends of rain, and I was sick of being in. And so I was actually a little pissed off too, because I'm like, you people in Tucson lie. The weather here is lousy. It was one of those. It was just a rare wet winter. And so I was looking through the back of the Tucson Weekly, and I saw this little PR caption, and it said, "Interested in science fiction? Do you follow Star Trek? Are you ever seen a UFO? Come down to the MUFON meeting Saturday, 1 o'clock, Wilmot Library." I went, MUFON? Well, I don't know what that is, but this looks cool.
So on some level, you even subconsciously, you were kind of drawn to that.
Well, it was I was literally flipping through the back of the Tucson Weekly on a rainy Saturday morning, trying to figure out what I was going to do that Saturday. I needed to do something, and I couldn't go out and play tennis. I couldn't ride my mountain bike. So I saw this little, and I'm like, Tucson Weekly, it's a skinny rag. It's probably like 25 or 27 pages. So I'm like on page number 24, 25, and I'm kind of scanning all the articles, and I'm like, interested in UFOs, sci-fi, Star Trek. I'm like, that looks kind of cool. I think I'll go to that. That was it.
Great.
I mean, it was that simple.
Wow. That's great, totally.
And there were at least 65, I remember this, like 65, 66 people. Jim, you remember that room? That room was packed.
Yeah, we loved having live audience in those days.
Oh, it's great. That room was packed.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
And at the end of the meeting, everybody kind of filed out, and I was like number 65 or 66 at the end, and I walked to Roger, and he was just standing there saying hello to people, and I said, would you mind if we talk for a little bit? He goes, sure, go ahead. So I introduced myself, and I said, I've got some questions.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
All these questions started flooding out, and you know how Roger gets that smile on his face. So he said, how about if we get together for coffee sometime? He said, there's a little place called the Dutch. In English, that means Dutch kitchen. And it used to be on Swan and Speedway.
Gotcha.
And I said, okay, sounds great. And so that first time we got together, it was a three and a half hour coffee conversation. And I can't even begin to count the number of conversations that Roger and I and many others had in Dutch and the Village Inn in years since. And that was the beginning. So that's either the winter of 91 or the winter of 92, after I just moved to Tucson, and I'm just starting to wake up. Hadn't even had the travel back in time trips yet. Just had this curiosity.
Part of the process.
Yes.
Definitely part of the process.
And I was babe in the woods.
Babe
clueless.
in the woods. But listen, I want to tell folks, hey, thank you for tuning in. My name's Yvonne Palermo. This is our second night on Paranormal Into the Night. We are joined with Jim Nichols and Tolek. And yes, we have questions coming in. That live chat is bebopping and a rockin'. And Tolek, Lance would like to know, how many more people are here on this planet are like you?
Well, there's a few answers to that question.
Okay.
Here we go. Answer one. Based on everything that I've learned, and actually my adopted Earth sister on planet Adana, who's actually my sister from the planet Dakota.
Okay.
She and I have talked about this a few times. There are on planet Earth, whatever the number is today, 7.8 billion, I'm guessing, about somewhere between 70 to 75% of the souls inhabiting Earth human bodies. I'm being literal here. Me, others, are from off planet. We're from another star system, another planet altogether.
Okay.
And of various dimensions. The number is only about 30%, give or take 3 to 4%, of Earth humans who have souls or spirit essences that go back to the original time from when proto-humans were first created and during the time of Lemuria, Atlantis, way, way, way back then. Now, even those people are not original to this planet, but they're the oldest of the oldest souls that are still here. That number is only somewhere between 26 to 30% of the total population. And somewhere around 100,000 years ago, as we would calculate time, a whole bunch of us, meaning people who are from other star systems, that their souls are from other star systems, likely Mr. Nichols and you, decided to come to this planet to start to live 3D Earth human organic lives. And my understanding is that I've been coming here for about 75,000 years. As we would calculate time. Now, this is actually a pretty cool story coming up. Apparently, I've been a student of time for many, many years in terms of attempting to try and understand it. And I had, I guess, what would be a brief moment of brilliance and insight. And I said to my buddy, the commander of the Primary Andromeda Council Biosphere, I said, I've been asking this question for years. I know I have, but I'm going to ask it from a different perspective. I've always asked it from my perspective as an Earth human. He's like, yep. So this time, I'm going to ask it from your perspective. You guys have been telling me that I'm from the planet Dakota, and I've got a job up in the Andromeda Council Biosphere, and I'm on the Joint Earth Subcommittee. He's like, yeah. And that I've been coming and going from this biosphere down to Earth for about 75,000 years as we would calculate time on Earth. He's like, yep. I said, okay, now, here's my question. Based on your perspective, because they're now 5.3, 5.4, fifth dimensional people, based on your perspective, you tell me I've been coming to Earth for 75,000 years based on how we calculate time here on Earth as organic humans. He's like, yep. So I said, from your perspective, using Earth terminology, how long would you say that I've been gone from the Andromeda Council biosphere, traveling back and forth between there and here on Earth?
Right.
Based on your perspective, based on how you live your lives. Like, about a year and a half, like a year and a half business trip.
Mm-hmm.
I went, what?
Yeah.
That means if, and he's giving me the best approximate that he can of higher dimensional quote unquote time, because they really don't experience time, but he's trying to do his best to give me an approximation.
Okay.
And so that means if I've been coming to this planet for 75,000 years of our organic time, which is a year and a half of their time, that also means that 100,000 years of our time would be about 2 years of their time, approximately. And again, it's just an approximation. I was blown away by that knowledge.
Yeah. Get out the duct tape and keep the mind together here. Boop, boop. Yeah.
And you know, I'm like, okay, Earth human, you know, our average lives, if we're fortunate, you know, women live to be in their certainly 80s and 90s, and most men are gone by, you know, 78, sure. 80, 82 on average, I guess.
Right.
Some people pass earlier.
Right.
And to find out that, and that's like snapping your fingers for them. It's almost, for me, it's almost incalculable to try to grasp that. I've been coming here for 75,000 years. For them, it feels like a year and a half business trip of mine. I'm like, wow.
Okay, well, okay. Then it begs the question, what have you accomplished in 75,000 years? What, you know, what? What?
Leave it to my friend to come up with that question.
You know, cut me some slack here. It says,
I'll tell you this.
Let's cut to the chase. What do you want me here for, guys?
Yeah. Well, I've learned this much. I've learned that, and you know, I'm in many ways, I'm no different than anybody else. I come down here. I can tell you some things I've learned. I've learned that I've been a Lakota man, Lakota warrior 3 times, a Dakota with a D once. I was a Hopi, I guess they call it medicine man. I was a Hopi holy man. I was also a mixed breed, some native, some Caucasian, but I look like an African American. I was a buffalo soldier in the 1800s, stationed down in Southwest Texas, and I wasn't a good dude.
Oh.
And there were other lifetimes. You know, like a lot of people, I've had a lot of lifetimes on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
But are you just coming here just for fun, just because you like coming here?
I'm almost
because you like riding pinto ponies and you know, shooting buffalo, or is there something specific as an Andromedan that you are accomplishing here on this planet? That's my question.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm not an Andromedan. My soul essence was birthed on the planet Dakota, which is in the Tegeta star system, which is one of the major 7 stars of the Pleiades. Right, so by most people's definition, I would be a Pleiadian.
Pleiadian, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
all right.
So thanks for asking that.
Well, but that just doesn't answer the question.
Here we go. Now I'm going to answer the question.
Oh, boy. Right. You two are tangoing.
What I've learned, at least in this lifetime, is that in terms of my own spiritual awareness, my own knowledge of spirit life, my own knowledge of what it is like to be aware of, I don't know how to say this, but living in the moment, doing the right things, being out in nature, and all those things that are much more relevant to being in tune actually with your spirit essence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more advanced in this lifetime than I've ever been compared to any of my other prior lifetimes. I know far more in this lifetime than I did in other lifetimes. Now, I'm also aware of the fact that me, the soul essence that was created on Dakota and has lived many human lifetimes, I'm also keenly aware of the fact that, for lack of better words, I've had knowledge like this before, not refined to the degree I have it today, but I've had knowledge like this before, and I've been killed because of it. I've been eaten by lions, I've been hung, I've been murdered, I've been taken out, I've had my tongue cut off, I've been killed, over and over and over again because of my desire to teach and obviously my lack of ability to keep my mouth shut. I've been taken out quite a few times because of my knowledge.
Okay.
So apparently I've taught before, but never to the degree of the knowledge that I today. That's as much as I know, Jim, to answer your question.
Okay.
Well, okay. Well, that's for you personally. Let's step back a little bit further. What is it that the Andromedans are trying to accomplish here in interacting with planet Earth?
Okay. Alrighty. Multiple answer. The people of my home planet, Dakota, it's my understanding they've had a long time, very positive relationship with what we on Earth call the Andromeda Council, which is actually called the Galactic Council out in deep space. But apparently, our planet in the Taygeta star system, from the Pleiades, has had a very good interactive relationship, a special relationship with the Andromeda Council. Tonka, the ambassador from the Andromeda Council to Earth, he's also from Dakota.
Okay.
So the relationship is very special between our peoples, the Council, and planet Earth. And as we on Earth would try to consider what our future is going to be like, I've learned that at some point in Earth's future, there is going to be an invitation on the part of the Council to planet Earth. Once it gets through its period of transition, its transformation to a higher dimensional world, there are Earth changes that have happened. Countries fall, new communities come up. There's going to be a complete new way of living on planet Earth after all the changes. After that happens, and there is peace on this planet, we will then be given an invitation to Earth will be given an invitation as a single planet to join both the Galactic Federation, which is like the day-to-day, we get stuff done, for lack of better words, management company of the Andromeda Council. And so that people can understand the difference, quite simply, just think of the Andromeda Council, the Galactic Council, as a deep space United Nations made up of 12 senior homeworlds from different star systems and planets, both in the Andromeda and Milky Way galaxy. But again, the Council itself is much more like a United Nations, so it's a governing and development body.
Mm-hmm.
The Galactic Federation, it gets stuff done on a day-to-day basis. It's got its own fleet of ships. It helps to coordinate trade, education, cultural exchange, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It does this on a day-to-day basis. So I know this is a long answer, but the answer to the story is I am here because I'm helping with the education and transition process. And apparently I'm going to be on Earth beyond the time of the Earth changes, helping alongside with some of the different people from the Andromeda Council, aligned planets like Ventra, Teleka, Nicate, Ritol. There are people from those 4 planets that are going to be coming down to Earth to mentor, to teach. and I'll be involved in that process.
Okay.
Sometime over the course of that 10 to 12 year transition, when Earth is getting its act together and waiting for its admission to the Federation and the Council, somewhere in the latter 2/3, 3/4 of that process, I'll then go to work on the Andromeda Council Biosphere full time. That's my understanding. So I'm here to help.
Well, thank you for being here to help. And we do have another question coming in. I'm going to ask it and let you answer. We'll be going to, I can't believe an hour has just about flown by, but before we go to any break, and you kind of answered this, but one of our chat's questions are you optimistic then on the path that we are currently manifesting?
Well, that question has a couple of answers, but the first answer I would give is actually a question: which we, which who? Because based on what I've learned, and this is what the numbers I'm going to reveal are very, very, very optimistic. Approximately 50%, plus or minus at least 5 or more percent, at best.
Okay.
That's the number of people who will decide to sit in the saddle and make the ride from this, what can be difficult, transitionary labor pains of the changes that this planet is going through and will continue to, into transforming into a higher dimensional world. There will be a lot of people who will basically say, I've had it with the challenges and the difficulties of this planet, and they'll give you a list of reasons a mile long.
Sure.
And they want out. They want out in any way, shape, or form they can get off. Some people will simply choose to go, well, it's my time, and I'm gonna, to use an Earth term, I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna die, and I'm gonna go live on some other planet. I'll take a body somewhere else. I'll be birthed by some young woman who's starting a family, and I'll start over as a baby, but on a much quieter, much more peaceful world.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very interesting because what you're saying is because in 2011, Yvonne Palermo tried to escape planet Earth, and they sent her back.
I did. Gosh darn it all.
Oh, that's right. You go, what? You sent me back here?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, a lot of people are going to choose to leave and not continue to experience the transition and the transformation of this world. Some will stay, others will go.
Yeah, tell him how thrilled you were to come back.
Oh, golly, I threw a party. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, but I now that I have this understanding with who exactly we are, these magnifico light beings, right? Yes. Now I understand this. I'm on a mission, baby cakes. I am. And you're on the mission with me. Jim Nichols, you're on the path with me.
Boy.
Dino and all of the listeners out there. We're going to widen this path. We're doing this peace thing. Heaven's sakes. We're doing this together because I love you. So there. Now, listen, I can't believe this. And the cool thing is, we're going to take a break, but just in a second, I want to we have got the most amazeball listeners right now and chatters. This is all new for everybody tuning in because we are a new radio site, PITN radionetwork.com. I am taking all of your questions. I will ask Tolek these questions. So I have questions for you. I want to talk about biospheres. And then Tolek, you said you wanted to talk about Orlando shooting, and we are going to talk about that with Mr. Nichols as well. And,
you know what? It's not that I want to talk about it, but I want to address it in a bigger context.
Absolutely.
And you and Jim, and especially Jim, with his investigative mind, his research mind, it's a good time to discuss this topic and look at it other than outside of the context of a single incident. It needs to be looked at in terms of part of a bigger picture. And so
Well, I'm looking forward.
Well, I hope we'll give it justice.
And I wanted to let you know too, because Dino's behind the scenes. If we end up going to overtime, it's okay tonight, because guess what? We can do it. All right, folks, we're going to take a break. We will be back in 5 minutes. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Paranormal Into the Night Radio Network, folks. We are so happy to be here. My name is Yvonne Palermo. I am doing my thing, my groovy bean. You have entered the groovy bean territory. I would love to tell you folks out there, this is our first almost full week, not even yet, here on this wonderful station, and we are a fantastic team here behind the scenes. Please make sure you check out our shows, and we are a full donation station. If you like what you hear and you want more of it, hey, just click those donate links. And if you want to find out more about our future shows and hosts, you can click those tabs at the top of the website. If you are interested in advertising with us, hey, send me an email, groovybean@gmail.com. Now, we are joined tonight with Jim Nichols, UFO researcher and illustrator, and the one and only Tolak. Now, welcome back, fellas. Are you there?
I'll be here.
There you are. Tolak?
Yeah, I'm still on planet. Sorry.
That's all right. Now, listen, I want to get to our chat, our listeners. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We have some questions. Remember, if you have questions for any of us, please put them in capital letters. It's easier to see that way for us because that chat is bebopping, rocking, and rolling, and I love it, and I love you. So let's get to some questions, and then I do want to talk about biospheres a bit, please. But first, we have a listener asking, I am told I am an Andromedan starseed. How do I get in touch with my family? Do you have any help to offer there, Tolek? Or Jim? I don't know.
I have a couple of thoughts. By the way, pretty typically what happens is they reach out to you. Meaning, if somebody wants to be a contactee, what will happen is at some point in the person's evolution, if they are literally both spiritually aware enough and curious enough and emotionally mature enough, pretty typically when people get contacted, they're getting contacted by their family members or people from the same planet that they're originally from. In terms of, right now I'm just talking about friendly, open contact, whether it's, the kind that I have, which is both physical and literal, spiritual, interdimensional.
Right.
It's those types of contacts happen because somebody from your star system, where you're originally from, they've watched you and they've figured out that you're actually ready to be contacted.
Okay.
As much as somebody can want it on one end, on their side, they're not going to get contacted unless they're really ready.
Okay.
Essentially.
Well, can I hitchhike on that?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Because my people come from where Tolek's people come from.
Okay.
I don't talk about this much, but
let's do it.
They contacted me when I made a gesture in my life that showed that I was ready for contact. It wasn't like, I could sit at home and watch Archie Bunker and All the Family and drink beer and eat popcorn and say, yeah, hey, man, I really want those Andromedas to come, man. It's like they would not waste their time.
No.
But if you make some kind of a gesture that shows you are ready for this, that you have stepped across the line and say, okay, I'll meet you halfway. That's what I did back in 1980 when I started doing artwork for Wendell Stevens on the Billy Meyer contact case.
Okay.
That was my gesture to show to them that I was ready to participate in this. And so immediately after I did my first painting, I received a message in my dream that said, well, first of all, it scolded me for thinking that the Pleiadians were something special, like angels or angelic beings, that they were some way more special than I was. And I was severely scolded for that. And they said, we are no different than you are. We are all expressions of God consciousness.
Right.
So just because we live on a different planet or in a different time-space dimension, we are all the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think you want to crawl down on your knees and worship us, you had better not do that.
Right.
So that was that was a real quick comeuppance for me. But then the second thing they told me is, and they showed me a line of text in a book, and we want you to remember this. I said, I would read the text, and I said, yeah, I got it. I said, no, you are not remembering this. And I bet they went at me for about 5 different times, telling me to remember this line. And every time I would say, I remember it, and they said, no, you are not remembering it. You know, I was a hard case.
Stubborn.
And so finally, they took the words and showed them in a diagonal on the page, and this time it just jumped out at me. It says, that which you want, you are. And at that point in time, the thing I wanted most of all was to meet a Pleiadian.
Oh.
And it's like, well, duh. It's like you already are one.
Oh,
and it's like, and it's not, then that does not make you special. It's just that Pleiadians and humans and Andromedans, we are all expressions of one consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes us all equal. That makes us all one. And that is a profound responsibility to understand that. And yet it's like, it's awesome because, like, well, we are everyone in the universe. We are the universe.
Right.
Yeah,
so I thought
yes,
that
we
was,
are.
it's almost like
that was just
we're a drop or a cup of water in an ocean.
Right.
Mm.
It's
But
the
it's
easiest
like,
expression I think of.
it's like, don't worship the Andromedans or the Pleiadians because
Right.
we're all made of the same stuff.
Oh,
So that was, and you know, I didn't go for rides or anything. It's just bam, this is it now. Go for it. You know, go do what you got to do. And that was my entree. That's where I stepped over the line, and that where they could respond to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to make that gesture myself. So you can't sit back on your butt and wait for the angelic beings to come and.
Right, you have to.
Your comfort zone. It's like you have to make that demonstration yourself.
Absolutely, yes. Raise your consciousness from within yourself first. For me, that's what I understand.
I didn't realize that's what I was doing.
Okay.
This is just something fun I wanted to do, but it was not. In retrospect, I can see. Well, that's where I stepped over the line and demonstrated. But yeah, I'm willing to step up to the bat and do something about it to prove that I want this experience. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was actually early when you consider all of this. You were one of the early guard, if you will, because a lot of this focus on this information has only come about for the most part, like I said, in the 90s. You know, early to mid 90s. That's kind of when it started to take off. Well, so if you were doing this in 1980, you were way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
They told us like we were like the Marines on the beach. We were the tip of the sword. But in doing so, we make it easier for the people who follow us.
Right.
Ah, I see.
We make it a little bit easier for them.
Okay.
As we pull the arrows out of our backs.
Let me ask you this. You have mentioned, Tolek, the word biosphere a few times. Could you, for somebody that is familiar with you, but for somebody new, could you explain to us what a biosphere is?
Sure. In simple terms, it is a planet or a planetoid that's been artificially created, somebody's technology. In terms of the Andromeda Council, they are as small as what we would call the planet Pluto in terms of size.
Oh, okay.
And the largest one that they have is about the size of Jupiter. And keep in mind, they have technology so that they can attenuate the frequency of that particular body so that there's no direct magnetic interference between what's going on in our own physical solar system and the planetary bodies that are here and them.
Yeah. That's no moon. That's no moon. That's a biosphere.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Now, have you been in one?
Oh yeah, I've been in a
Okay.
few of them.
Oh.
But for the record, the people that live and work on these biospheres don't live and work on them. They work inside of them. The best analogy I can give to anybody is, think of any time that any of you have been fortunate enough to go to a place like, for lack of better words, Disneyland or Disney World. Everything is there at your disposal. Everything is there at your fingertips. They are verdant. They have hills. They have valleys. They have rivers. They have ponds. They have buildings. There are, and I've got an Andromeda Council biosphere, the PDF file that I have.
I'm going to put that right in our chat right now for our listeners.
Yeah, it's Andromeda Council biospheres. And my adopted sister Adana and I worked on this. And essentially, it's there are things like a main command control room, a central command communication room. There's an astronomy lookout section. That's a whole floor. Crew quarters, food quarters, gardens, a greenhouse. There's like a zoo kind of thing, but their animals roam quite freely.
Yeah, I'm looking at this playground for kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a very cohesive, very verdant, clean, green world inside. Of course, there's artificial gravity, and there are also different levels. I can tell you that on the Andromeda Council biosphere, they have controlled different levels or floors by vibrational frequency, so that the 4D people, when they need to do their own thing, they stay on the 4D floor. 5D people on the 5D floor, 6D people on the 6D floor, so they can comfortably do whatever they need to do when they're visiting, or the different diplomatic and subcommittee meetings. And so, as an example, the one that's the size of Pluto, at full capacity, it can comfortably hold 2 million people. There's 12 executive officers, 50,000 crew members, and about 30,000 civilians, including their families, that run these things. And that's the one that's the size of Pluto. They go up as big as Jupiter, so they're.
Jeez.
Okay. They're planets that people live inside of, clean fresh air, and they, to whatever degree they need it, they.
When did they first start? When was the first one made?
I don't know when the first one was made. I do know that they got here to, for lack of better words, this solar system in Earth space in the early 90s.
Okay.
And what I do know is that there are 3 today in and around Earth space, and the other 9 are part of what's called the Sphere Alliance, for lack of better words.
The Sphere Being Alliance?
Yeah, right. That's
okay.
them. Yes.
Okay.
And those other 9 biospheres, along with some others, provide an electric fence, a ring around the solar system. And not only is it a ring, think of it as a complete bubble. North, south, east, west. Our whole solar system is enveloped in a protective bubble.
Okay.
And that's so whatever remaining bad guys that are here in terms of reptilians or any other bad guy aliens, they're stuck here. And they're stuck here through the time of the transformation. Too bad.
Right.
and also so that no other bad guys can come in.
Okay, so
actually, Yvonne, for an example, we actually have a biosphere here in Tucson.
Okay, right.
Look it up. Look up the biosphere here in Tucson, and that's like in a microcosm.
Right.
What if you can imagine a space station, the size of the Death Star, or even bigger, that has the same kind of technology within it, where you have botanical gardens. You have zoological gardens. You have
completely
living space. Yeah, you have it's a totally self-contained space station.
So are the biospheres? Do they transport people? Are they transporting people? Are there plans to move?
Yeah, there are.
What's going on there?
There are 2 of them. There are 2 biospheres that are designated for transport of those people who don't want to stick around on Earth, and moreover, for those people who really wish to continue to live 3D lives. That's what they're comfortable with. That's what they want.
Okay.
Well, at some point in what we would call Earth's future, this beautiful blue ball is no longer going to be a 3D organic world. It's going to become a crystalline, mid-level 4D world. And unless people get off this rock, they're going to become 4D. So for those people that want to leave, there are 2 biospheres dedicated to transport of Earth humans, and one of them is going to take a bunch of Earth humans as well as people from, it's 2 or 3 other worlds. One is known as Aura, A-U-R-A. The second one is Batera, and the third one is Wanke, and they are all similar to Earth people in terms of their makeup. You know, they're humanoid. They don't look like Earth humans, but they're definitely humanoid.
Okay.
They're all in these other planets. They all are located in the Milky Way galaxy, not close to us, but they're in the Milky Way galaxy. And their worlds are about to change also. So a bunch of those people that are 3D are going to hop on these biospheres along with Earth humans. And the trip to, first of all, I'll give us an analogy.
Okay.
Think of the Milky Way galaxy as a pinwheel if you look at it. And it's got these little arms. Well, we've learned from our scientists that Earth and its solar system sits like right around 7 o'clock on the pinwheel, as an example, on a clock face. The trip to get to this new virgin Earth-like planet is at around 10 o'clock. So it's quite a distance, and it's not that they can't do it quick. They can. They could get away from Earth space, do a jump, and be there. Probably like within a day. Who knows? But that's not what's going to happen. What will happen is a whole bunch of Earth people that really want to be 3D and don't want to live on this planet, and all of these other people from Aura, Batera, and Wanke. You've got Earth people, of which there is huge diversity. We have the Germans, the French, the English, the Americans, the Syrians, the Assyrians, the Greeks, the Turks, all the Africans. Who knows? Who knows how many of the different varieties of Earth humans are going to be on this transport ship along with other people. The trip is going to take 10 to 12 years purposefully so that those Earth people are going to learn to get along inside this if you will, close quarters, because they can't go anywhere. Once they're inside that biosphere, they're stuck. They're taking the trip. And the other thing is that there's going to be a period of, I don't know, the best word I can think of is education. And this new planet, this new Earth-like planet, I don't know the name of it, but it's a virgin world. There are no humanoids. There are no humans. There are no aggressive animals. There's some insects and there's some very, very gentle animal life. That's it. So it's very much, and it's never been polluted. It is a completely virgin world. So part of the process of transportation of these people is to educate and say, y'all are going to this virgin world. You are not going to dump in it. You are not going to pollute in it. You're just not. Are we going to give you some technology so you can live healthy, clean, positive lives? Absolutely. But you are not going to abuse this planet. There are going to be some other rules that will be laid down as well.
Let me ask you this, Tolek. Thinking back to my younger years when I saw this Twilight Zone episode called "To Serve Man." You familiar with that one?
I've never seen it.
Never seen it. Okay, I just was thinking, and maybe some other folks are thinking about this too, and just a little bit hesitant. Well, hold the phone, shut that front door and lock it. What if? Are these possibly? Could they be harvesting humans.
What
so
curve?
the show, the Twilight Zone show, to serve man, it was these aliens came to the planet and they were going to take them to a better place, and then it ended up actually being a harvest of the humans for not so good cause.
Yeah, they realized that the book that says how to serve man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Was a recipe book.
Yeah. Right.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that from that perspective. I'm going to be unequivocal in this statement.
Okay.
These two biospheres that are used for transport, this is completely optional. As an example, the starting point for everyone is, do you want to stay on Earth? Yes, I do. Okay, well, if you stay on Earth, just understand you are going to become a fourth dimensional human. And the only caveat to that is if you are I can't think of any other word, but if you are a good person, if you're living a good life, if you are of the vibratory nature that you treat people well, you're kind to your friends. I mean, I'm not talking about inter-family disputes, but just being a good human. Right. You'll make the transition. You'll become a higher dimensional human, and you live a long, long time as a fourth dimensional human on Earth. The only caveat is if you're, to coin a phrase, an axe murderer, if you're a psychopathic nut job, if you're killing people, if you're hateful, your unique low vibratory rate, your soul essence won't survive the dimensional shift on this world. Okay. And you'll go back to source and you'll start over somewhere else. Now, to answer your question, let's get back to center. Harvest, absolutely not. It's basically, hey, these ships are going to this new virgin world. If you want to catch a ride, you're welcome to. If you don't, that's okay too. You can stay on Earth, no biggie. It's up to you.
Wait. But do we get to tour the biosphere before we make that decision?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This isn't like Marshall Applewhite, where you want to go to the biosphere, you got to drink this Kool-Aid. There's going to be understand that there's going to be a lot that will be happening during this time of final transition on Earth, and there'll be enough notice given that if people want to go check out the biosphere, there's going to be all sorts of activity that they'll be able to travel to one of the two biospheres and okay, this is what it is. It's basically for another word, it's an arc.
Right. What if is there enough space for all that would want to go?
Let's see.
Well, not just that, but it's that we are your saviors. We are here to save you. Or it's like, if you want to be saved, you got to get on my ship. That's kind of like put the gun to your head. It's, well, I have to trust you that you're saving me. And so how do I know that this is what they say it is?
Categorically no. It is about simply, we're going to this new virgin world. If you don't want to stay on Earth, and if you want to continue the 3D life, you're welcome to join us. If not, that's okay. It's that simple.
Right.
It literally is that simple. Nobody's going to be pushing anybody to do anything. Keep in mind the process of transforming, the process of staying on Earth and choosing to transform from being a 3D Earth human to becoming 4D is free will. The only point that it's not is, if you're here on Earth at the moment of the actual transformation, you're going to become 4D. But you can choose to stay or choose to leave. Either one. I don't care. Right. And I mean, they care. They care as, we are essentially, we're your spiritual cousins. We're all part of life, part of consciousness, and if we can help, we will. If you don't want our help, that's okay. It's that simple. It really is.
So I'm going to go back to my question, though. So is there a limit to, or can all those that want to go? Is there a space limit there?
There's not going to be a problem. Keep in mind, the smallest biosphere is the size of Pluto, and that thing holds upwards of let's see. So that one's 2 million people. Okay, these two biospheres that are traveling to this virgin Earth-like world, those things are the size of Jupiter. Okay. They can hold billions. Billions of people with a B.
With a B, the big B. Yeah, okay.
No issue in terms of carrying people.
Okay.
Nope.
Now, I want to remind folks tuning in who we're listening to tonight. We have Tolek here, who is a representative of the Andromeda Council. His website is www.andromedacouncil.com. Tolek also has a YouTube channel, and the name of the channel is Tolek from Dakota. I hope I said that right, Tolek. And then we're also joined with Jim Nichols, UFO.net. And both of these fine gentlemen are working on and have worked on and created this wonderful, wonderful conference that's coming in October, transformationalshiftevents.com, and I will put that in the chat as well. Now, again, we are a donation station. The sheep don't sleep here, folks. So if you like what you hear and you want more of it, please, please, please donate, because, man, I'm having a great time, and I love having you all here on my show tonight, and all of you listeners as well. Now, we have a question coming in, and folks, if you do have questions, please, I ask you put them in capital letters, because our chat is a-rolling here. We have a question from Lance. It said, can we go beyond 4D because we exceed the standard? I desire to go beyond 4D, and let's see, am I capable of exceeding that, or do I have to be 4D for a period of time?
There are people that are on this planet already whose level of evolvement probably exceeds the 5D level. And I can tell you about physical aspects, technical aspects, about the differences between like upper 4D and 5D. And essentially, people that are once you hit like mid-level 5D and up, you no longer need any technology to travel inside your solar system. You can just basically crunch your... Now keep in mind, 3D is, it's 3D or it's organic. It's slow, it's dense, and right now we're all 3D. Once you leave the third dimensional vibration, everything from 4 and up, even it's 4.1, everything from 4 and up is literally of spirit, essence, crystalline, fine matter.
Okay.
It vibrates faster. It's far, far less dense. It doesn't need food to survive. It lives thousands of years. And so the migration from mid-level 4D to upper 4D to 5D to mid-level 5D, that can happen pretty quick. In terms of planet Earth, from what I understand, will first become mid-level 4D at the moment of transformation. There will be pockets of lower 5D and mid-level 5D on the planet. Some people will simply, when the transformation happens, some people will just simply say, I'm going to go back to my people. I haven't been back in my home world in a while, and they're all 5D and 6D, and I'm going back there. And they can do that if they want to. It's all about choice. I'm going to drive this message home. It's all about choice. People can choose what they want to do. And so this gentleman will evolve and can evolve at whatever rate he feels comfortable evolving at. Plain and simple. But Earth will first be mid-level 4D, and then it will become 5D. Why? That's just a natural evolutionary process.
Okay.
But he doesn't have to stay on Earth. He can go anywhere he wants to.
There you have it. I hope that helped, Lance, and you're helping us along. Jim Nichols, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, that's kind of how I kind of perceived non-physical reality. So once you transcend the 3D, it's like you can kind of go where you want to go. And it's an act of personal volition. Once you are vibrating at a higher level, wherever your consciousness cares to focus, that becomes your reality. So it's like, you want to go to 5D, then then I am 5D. Right. It's just a matter of it's just exercising your own will. Or you say, well, there's stuff here in 4D I want to experience, so I'm gonna bop around here for a while, and then when I've satisfied myself with that, then I wonder what 5D or 6D, and then you keep going up, and it's like, and then you say, I'm allness, the allness of isness. I'm everything now. So it's like, it's it's that long road back to rediscovering your connection with super consciousness.
Right.
That's how I see it.
I love that. Thank you. Now, shall we transition into Orlando, Tolek? I'm going to let you lead since you wanted to discuss this a bit. Thank you. Go for it.
I'm not at all going to dive into the details of Orlando.
Sure.
We'll say that for the sake of this conversation, and I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to bring it up because, like a lot of other events of this type, people get involved in it. At least people that watch a lot of television or watch a lot of watch a lot of television, listen to a lot of radio, and or people that use the web to get their news. There are a lot of people who emotionally get involved in events like this. And I'm bringing up this issue of Orlando not because I want to look at the issue as a single event, but rather because I'd like people to at least consider that this event is not at all isolated. And especially if we look at what has happened going back only the past 2.5 years, there have been a number of similar events. And it seems that now events like this are happening at a clip of about every 1.5 to 2 months. As soon as things get quiet here in the U.S., and there's nothing to get excited about or emotionally disturbed about, bang, another one of these events happens. Gunman murders 16 children or 15 people or 45 are murdered. And what people have ubiquitously called the Charlie Hebdo incident happened in Paris, it was that moment when I said, you know what? This looks and smells like a whole bunch of other things that have happened over the course of many years. And so I went back as far as the Columbine, Colorado shooting of children. Well, I don't remember the exact year, but I think it was in the early 90s, maybe 89 or 90. And there have been I actually chronicled about 20 of these kinds of events where there's an alleged single shooter or shooters, plural, and X number of people or children were killed. And it's like looking at a sine wave or a roller coaster. It's like emotional upheaval gets quiet, up, another event, emotional upheaval gets quiet, up, another event, emotional upheaval. I would ask people to consider that this Orlando event is one of many that is planned and orchestrated simply to keep people in a place of emotional distress, upheaval, and fear.
Yeah.
And when people are in a greater state of emotional upheaval and fear, they're easier to manipulate and control. People give away their liberties much easier when they're afraid. Ergo, whatever was instituted after what we called 9/11. But I'm not going to ask you to take my word for it. Everyone, any one of you that are listening, go back as far as Columbine and track how many events have happened since the since the killing of Colorado school children called Columbine.
Right.
It is almost frightful, the number of these kinds of events that have happened. And interestingly enough, I was surprised to discover that some of these events happened, like on, as an example, April 12th, 2012. It's like there are certain combinations of numbers.
Numbers.
This is weird. This is really, really strange. And ask Jim. I'm not a conspiracy guy. I just went, wait a second.
Right.
These don't look like single events. This looks more like a pattern than it does just random events.
I think Columbine was 1999. So talking about numbers. 1999.
I don't remember the year, but I know that there have been a lot of these kinds of events since Columbine. A lot.
Well, and immediately, and this is happening right now. It's like you have this uproar in the Congress about gun control. Gun control, right? Well, just for those who are not aware of it, the only impediment to creating the New World Order is the fact that the American population own guns. And it's like you cannot create a police state until you take away the guns. So you constantly, time after time after time, you play this card to raise this public outcry, raise the public outcry that, we've got to do something about guns. And they said, well, if we took all their guns away, they couldn't do wicked things like this anymore. But the problem is that if you take away, the guns, if you outlaw guns, the only people who will have guns are outlaws. And unfortunately,
the criminals, the criminals in the police state.
Right, exactly. So, and they understood this clearly during the Bolshevik Revolution. This is one of the planks. This is one of their protocols to take over the Russian government, is to take away the people's guns. If they cannot defend themselves, then they are absolutely at the mercy of a police state. Right. So, these kind of events are horrific. But also they seem to be deliberately engineered.
Yes.
Deliberately engineered. It looks like problem, reaction, solution. Let's create the problem so the public will demand the solution, which would be to take everybody's guns away. And then it's like, oops, sorry, game over. We have a police state, and what can you do now? Can't defend yourselves. So this is the whole history of the United States. This is why the United States has been such a bugaboo, even to the British monarchy, is because those pesky colonists all have guns.
But you know what?
Curses.
It's still more insidious. It's still more insidious than that. Let's say that the gun issue wasn't on the table.
Yeah.
As long as they keep creating events like this, they can keep disturbing people's emotional state. They keep rattling it.
That's some.
And it's like I said,
mind control.
Absolutely. Well, it's worse than that. It's emotional control.
Yes.
Exactly. They're taking advantage of the energy that is created when they put people in fear.
Okay, now let me think about this. This is called alchemical social engineering.
Wow.
And it's like the people who are into the black arts, they fully understand this. So you can have an event like Orlando, or you can have an event like 911. But the dynamic is that you can show that on television, and you can show it over and over and over. And that is milking even more of the collective emotional energy from the population. And that's what they're feeding on.
It actually reinforces and recreates the energy of the fear every time they show it.
Yeah, it's a multiplier effect. So you don't have just the effect of the individual event. You have the multiplier effect of the mass media, ramping this energy up, to an unbelievable scale to serve
their needs.
Their needs.
Right.
So it's like, I'm driving around town today, and the flags are at half staff again today, and it's like, well, I don't see why they even bother to raise the flags to full staff anymore, because every damn time you turn around, oh, there's another event. Oh, now we have to have the flags at half staff again. Well, it's becoming it's absurd now. So we'll just leave the flags at half staffs.
As I pointed out, it used to be just like
yes.
And Donna and I and others have talked about this with this. Rising rate of bad events, we're also seeing consistently a quickening of good events. I've lost track of the number of times where I'd be addressing something, and then I would speak with you, Jim, or JP, or Simon Parks, and we're finding out that there is corroborating evidence that my information kind of matches his, which kind of matches his, and we hadn't talked about it before, and it's happening quicker and quicker and quicker. Same thing with these emotionally disruptive events.
Right.
If you go back to the 80s or the 80s or early 90s, an event might happen like this once every 2 or 3 years. They're now happening like every month and a half.
Right. I would suspect that you will find the frequencies of these events have double, triple, quadrupled just since 2012.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just since 2012, because that was supposed to be the key date for when the planet's vibration rate was supposed to kick up. And Yvonne, my God, she's been monitoring the Schumann resonance of the planet over the last month, and the Schumann resonance, the vibrational rate of the planet, is just going right through the roof.
Yeah.
So the powers that be have to have a counterbalancing negative energy to mitigate that raise of consciousness.
They're trying to keep a hold on, and they're losing.
They're doing everything they can to keep people in fear as much as possible.
Right.
Yes.
Because it's self-perpetuating. The more angst, the more fear, the more anger, the more confusion, the more the powers that work in the shadows and in the dark can feed off of that energy. It's like a fire. You just keep adding fuel to it.
Well, it tells me that they must be losing their food source, and so they have to keep ramping it up because they're not getting the level of nourishment that they used to.
That's right.
Prior to 2012.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And did any of you tune in to, or maybe our listeners, did any of you watch the news and see if any of the symbols, the symbology that was going on there? Just kind of curious. A little bit of Disney was thrown in there. And actually, it was interesting. I'm trying to remember which station it was. Right at the beginning, when they start reporting this, honest to goodness, in the background of the reporting, guess what's trailing behind it? The Matrix symbols from the movie The Matrix. The green numbers flowing up and down. Right. No joke. And then I found it interesting how they have the image of the wife and the child with the Disney shirt, and we know Disney was a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. So lots of symbology going on there as well.
Right, and of course there's lots of MK Ultra,
correct,
mind control sigils within the Disney animation and so forth.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
That's sad. That's a sad statement to know that, without a doubt, our children are at risk of that kind of insidious programming, and it's put in the form of Goofy and Mickey Mouse, playful characters.
Exactly.
Well, Jim, Mr. Nichols, would you explain to some of our listeners, because I'm sure we have some that are new to this whole ideology of symbology and the occult and how they manipulate us through the television. Do you want to add to that a little bit for some new folks that are just waking up?
That's a whole show.
Well, I know. Well, we'll do that. But could you help out just a little bit?
The 10-minute version?
Yeah, there you go.
I'll listen.
Yeah, and folks tuning in, we're going to go over the 2 hours because we got more to talk about. So we're getting into it. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, the thing is, first of all, we are profoundly influenced by what we see visually.
Right.
And, you know, back during the 30s, there was radio. And they used radio incredibly to mind control the population. They said, well, why stop there? Why not do it visually? Because visual mind control is so much more powerful than just audio mind control. So you have, you know, Disney was hired by J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI specifically to be a mind control operation to influence the minds of children. And there's so much, and it's so hard to really sort it all out, because you can have an image of a character like Mickey Mouse or Cinderella, and you just see it visually for what it is. Oh, it's happy, and you know it's Disney's magic, but you don't know what kind of black magic programming has been done to those specific images, and that black magic that has been embedded in those images goes directly to your subconscious. You don't see it, you don't even register it on a conscious level, but your subconscious does. So whether it's Pinocchio or you know, Sleeping Beauty, or any of these things, or a simple butterfly, these are used as sigils or symbols that if they're properly programmed through mind control operations like MK Ultra, they can be subliminally affecting your children's mind, and the children just, you know, are totally mesmerized by
Jim,
it.
are you
Yes.
are you saying essentially that there is imagery that is layers deep? Not the right words, but like if you're looking at Mickey Mouse, that we're not only seeing Mickey Mouse, but we're seeing microscopic imagery that is compressed or comprised to make the character called Mickey Mouse? Is that
That's part of it, but you have to understand how this goes back to medieval occult black magic, is how you can take a simple symbol and you can program that symbol using black magic to have a particular meaning that that the people who see that symbol will register that subconsciously, but they won't understand what they've seen. So it's like there's all kinds of symbols and so forth. They say if a person from the Middle Ages were to walk down the street today, they would absolutely freak out from all the satanic symbology that is everywhere. You walk down and there's a Dodge Charger going by with a ram's head on the logo on the front hood. You know, a person from the Middle Ages is saying, "Oh my God, that's a satanic symbol! Look at it's everywhere," and we don't even think about it. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, and it's it's very complicated, and you have to go into a study of the occult and how simple symbols, simple images can be programmed using black magic to have a mind control, hypnotic mind control effect over the general population. And you take somebody like Aleister Crowley, who was a master of that. And you look at the rockers, the rock and roll stars today, and they're dripping with all this satanic occult symbology. And it's like, well, that's no accident. That's all programmed sigil symbology that's affecting people on a subconscious level. And you look at all these little kids that used to work for Disney, you know, the kids in the old Disney movies or Disney TV shows, and now they're satanic rockers. I mean, it's like, this is no accident.
Right.
This is no accident. This is a deliberate program.
We did that show with Isaac Weishaupt, and and we're gonna be having him on again, friends, on Paranormal Into the Night here. So
this is a whole field of study all by itself.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. Now listen, we are already approaching 8 o'clock, and I've asked you both if it's okay that we go over time. Would you both like a break before we do this? Because I have more questions for you, Tolek, and then I do want to talk about the Transformational Shift Conference.
Yeah, we really need to talk about it.
Okay, would you two like a break? Or would you like to keep going?
Give me a break.
If we take a break, like
5 minutes?
3 or 4 minutes, quickie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Are you okay, Jim, with that?
Yeah, I can handle it.
All right. So, listeners, we are going to take we'll say, how about a 4-minute break there, Tolek? Okay. Sure. We won't hit 5. All right. We'll take a 4-minute break, folks. Again, my name's Yvonne Palermo. I am joined with Tolek and Jim Nichols. You are tuned into Paranormal Into the Night. Please, we are a donation station, and if you are interested in advertising on the site at pitnradionetwork.com, hey, send me an email at groovybean@gmail.com. It is now time for our break. All right. Welcome back, folks. This is Yvonne Palermo. This is the Groovy Bean Show, because we are all beings here to seed our planet, folks. That's right. I am joined tonight by Jim Nichols and Tolek. We're going to go over a couple more questions and then talk about the Transformational Shift Event Conference. Before I do that, I would like to tell you, folks, that tomorrow morning, our lovely Jackie O, that's right, Jackie O has her first Saturday morning show tomorrow. It is 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's 9 to 11. So very happy if you're up tomorrow morning and hey, you want to learn about the kitchen living resources, recipes, transitioning your kitchen to healthy living and raising that vibration. Exactly what we're talking about, folks. Please tune in tomorrow morning. Now, next week, Thursday, that's right, Thursday night at 9:30 p.m., I'm going to be talking to Eric Rains. He is an etheric implant remover. So very interesting. And then Friday, a week from tonight, oh my gosh, I'm very excited. I'm going to be talking to James Edward Swager. We're going to be talking about megalithic acoustic mystery. So, oh my goodness, so exciting. So welcome back, gentlemen, and thank you. So let me ask you, you're very welcome. Let me ask you, we have a question coming in from V. Tolek, why do you know asking questions about how CERN is causing bad things on the people and this planet? I'm trying to word it. Let's see, Tolek. So any information on the CERN and this planet? Yeah.
I think that the question is better suited for Simon Parks, who has an enormous depth of knowledge on the CERN topic. But essentially, here's the button-down version. The scientists and the more specifically the powers working in the dark and the shadows, pushing the scientists working on CERN. The whole goal was so that they could create what they hoped would be a stable portal, for lack of a better word, wormhole, a stable wormhole to communicate with people and beings in the next dimension up, in the fourth dimension, A, and B, being able to transport some of those beings back here on Earth.
Right.
That. From what I understand, that was the goal.
Right.
And didn't they also want to get out of the quarantine zone here?
Right, and that's how they wanted. Yeah, that's how they wanted to get out, was to use it, for lack of a better word, a Stargate. For those people who watched Stargate for all those years, SG. They wanted to create their own interdimensional Stargate. And from what I understand, based on speaking with Simon, he and his people have basically killed that thing. It's from what he says, it's not operational.
And I know, before the break, we were talking about symbology and all that. And folks, if you haven't seen, the CERN did put out a video. It's called The Dance of Destruction. Check that out sometime if you haven't, if you want to see some dark symbology and start learning how to pick up on that. Very interesting little documentary video that they put a lot of money into, and pretty eye-opening video there. So another question we have, can we expect the transition to happen in our lifetimes?
Okay. We are currently in a time of transition, we on this planet. And just for the record, so that people understand the bigger picture, not only is planet Earth, and I know I touched on this earlier, but not only is planet Earth in a time of transitioning, and that it will ultimately transform and become a higher dimensional world, there are other planets in other solar systems also in this time of vibratory transition. Now we've got the added complication of being messed with by lower level 4D reptilians over thousands and thousands of years. So it makes the hierarchy and the superstructure of the people that are the powers that work in the dark and shadows on this planet, they've messed with things for years. So our situation is more complicated because of the reptilian involvement and manipulation, etc. But we are in a time of transition. There will be a moment in what we call the future of this planet when the highest evolvement, the highest, if you will, the peak of human consciousness, the peak of human 3D awareness of spiritual reality, the peak of all possible growth as 3D humans on this world, in combination with cosmic events that are happening in space that are creating a cause and effect of Earth changes on this planet. At the peak of all of that, that's when this world will transform. There'll be a moment of transformation, and it'll kind of happen like a wave going across the planet. And after the planet transforms, if somebody were in space watching it all happen, they would observe a beautiful blue world with organic, if you will, for lack of better words, water and land masses. They would watch it transform into a world looking very much like a blue tinted crystal ball, which interestingly enough I've chosen for the image for our conference. That's pretty much the image is of a blue crystal Earth sitting in space. Okay. It'll look translucent. You'll be able to see through it, but you'll still be able to see sort of this outline of a crystal bluish ball out in space. Beautiful. From what I understand, it's the first time that a transformation of this type is happening, where a world is there's, you know what, sometimes we're just so limited with the English language, but in any case, where a world is transforming in a transitionary process. Matter of fact, the core of this planet, as of the time frame of December 21st, 2012, the core of this planet now has a new blue plasma energy source. It's not iron, molten nickel, magma. It is in fact bluish plasma, and that happened actually in the 12/21/12 time frame. That was part of the energetic shift. So we are in the transition process of becoming a higher dimensional world. In the moment of transformation, it'll happen over minutes. It's like the blink of an eye going across the whole planet.
So we'll be translucent too?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll become higher dimensional humans, and we'll all, like, men will weigh, I'm going to use some approximates, men will weigh like, I don't know, 10.5 to 12 pounds. Women will weigh 5.5 to 7 pounds. I'm trying to use something as a and we'll be taller, we'll be slimmer, we'll live for thousands of years, and when we want to become 5D, we just decide that we do, and we do it. No more death. No more death because we're no longer organic.
Right.
Yeah. Will we still have chocolate?
Absolutely.
Oh, heaven's sake.
If I have something to say about it, we will.
So let's do another question here. Now, we do have a question regarding a type of sphere that some folks are seeing. In fact, our guest last night, Derek Faust, he sees them. There's these type of ships, maybe you will know, Tolik, that some people are getting flashed by. They're orbs, they're spheres. They can be all kinds of different colors, orange, red, rainbow. They're translucent, and they're like a pulsating energy orb. Maybe it's an interdimensional being. Do you have any thoughts to this?
Predominantly, they are higher dimensional people that are simply traveling here to Earth, and they many times these are groups of people. You know, you could say that there are 5 to 7 people, 11 to 14 people that have said, "Hey, we want to go observe some people in Washington State and see why they're so good at brewing coffee, or what people in Washington do, or we want to see what people are doing in Vermont and watch white-tailed deer." Well, being 5-dimensional people, all they really have to do is agree that they want to do it. Then they collectively merge their energy, and they essentially turn into a softball or a softball size or a soccer ball size little orb. It's a ball of energy.
Right.
And they just travel here.
Okay.
They travel and they observe. And that is simply what those are. I saw so many photos of when I was speaking last year at Rob Potter's Mount Shasta Summer Conference. We were around the campfire and people have their smartphones. It's amazing what the lens of a camera can see that we in our human eyes cannot. And I saw bunches of photos of orbs all over the place at this conference. We were at the base of Mount Lemmon, out in the trees, and there's tall pine trees and clean, crisp air. And there are higher dimensional beings everywhere watching us. So they're there for the party too. Absolutely. So they're predominantly beings. They're just fifth dimensional beings that are coming to visit.
Is there a way, and Derek did mention you last night, by the way, Tolik, it was great. We're like, oh, synchronicity. He's on tomorrow night. So it's really cool. Is there a way that people can communicate with them?
Yeah, pretty simple. Just focused intention. They can simply, a person can simply, if you will, it's as easy as closing your eyes and just taking a quiet moment and sending his or her own version of "I love you" or "Hi, welcome. It's great to have you here." Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Because we may not realize it, but we are already telepathic. Yes. Even though we don't feel telepathic, we're already telepathic, and telepathy has no bounds. It can go what we would consider to be thousands of miles. So we can certainly, with our intuitive hearts and minds, communicate with a little ball of light that's only 2 or 3 feet or 10 feet away. That's a no-brainer. That one's easy.
Wonderful.
Short answer, yes.
I love it. Thank you. One more question, and then we're going to jump into that conference information that you have done wonderful work on. What can you share about inner Earth people, and have you spoken to them, and if so, who?
Okay.
And were any of them at Mount Shasta?
I didn't meet any. It's possible they were there, but I didn't meet any. There are a lot of people who follow the work of the Galactic Federation of Light. And there are many people who follow that bunch that talk about Agartha and Inner Earth. I know nothing about those people. What I do know is that, at least according to my own Andromeda Council contact people, is that there are certainly people that live below the surface of Earth. Do they live at the core of Earth? Absolutely not. Do they live underground, maybe a few miles deep, in what we would consider to be huge caverns, maybe 1 mile to 2.5 miles tall or 3 miles tall? Yes, that's the case. And are they evolved? Absolutely. Do the people of the Andromeda Council have any formal diplomatic ties or communication with any of these people? They don't know. what I have learned is that the group they've told me about predominantly lives under the Himalaya Mountains. I don't know exactly where, but they live underneath the Himalaya Mountains. And that's as much as I know about that topic.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that. Now, this next topic we're going to talk about here, and I'm so thankful for you both staying over time here, so thank you so much. Now, I know you both have been working very hard on a certain conference that is happening in October.
Yes.
The Transformational Shift event. And folks, while you're out there, listen up, www.transformationalshiftevents.com. Ready, get set, go, Tolek.
Well, the easiest page they can go to is, they can look at all the pages, but the easiest page they can go to is transformationalshiftevents.com/conferences the dash sign conferences and events.html. And that's the page where you can see the smiling faces of all the people that will be speaking. Where there are going to be at least 16 speakers. I've got 15 of them where we have those relationships and commitments in place. I'm waiting for one more answer. I'm excited. I'm excited about the conference, but I'm excited to let everybody know that Simon Parkes is going to be joining us from England on a large screen TV. This gentleman doesn't fly.
Right.
And he offered up his services, and he said, "Hey, if you guys are still doing this conference, I'll come join you, and I'll do it, via big screen TV."
Right.
There are a lot of people who are wary of Simon because of his knowledge of the lives and worlds of people of the mantid race and the reptilian race, and he's also human. And I will tell you categorically that I've interacted with him in different conversations. Jim Nichols has been part of these interactions and roundtables. Simon has been nothing but cordial and courteous and warm.
He's a typical English gentleman.
Every single time. And I think the least that I could say is that in the very first show when he and I were together, I think JD was actually in that conversation, and Edgar Mitchell was there as well. Simon was at least cautious. The last three conversations, not so. He's been warm,
very cordial.
Very giving, very engaging, and he is consistently that way. So I would say to anybody that's concerned, don't be concerned. He's a man who's living an earth life that's doing his best to teach and to inform the best that he can based on the information that he has. And so I'm happy to say that he'll be joining us from England. The keynote speaker is Mark Kimmel. Jim Nichols will be speaking and presenting, as well as yours truly, Yvonne.
What?
Yes, and it also this is a unique conference because it's going to also have sort of a star knowledge Native American flair to it. I've been really fortunate to retain Grandmother Silver Star, and she is probably one of the most famous people, at least in this country, of Native American heritage, who has very deep star knowledge as passed on by Native American ancestors. And she's got actually Lakota, Cherokee, and 2 other nations in her. She's a virtual United Nations of Native American blood. We'll also have Itasha Tashina. She has Apache blood in her. She is also, interestingly enough, they've done a DNA analysis on her, and they can't explain a large percentage of her DNA. And what she's been told is that she is, for lack of a better description, she is from the Arcturian star system. Physically, her physical body is part Arcturian. And she's part Apache. She's also a wisdom keeper. She is what they call a sun dancer and sacred pipe holder. Also joining us will be Kathy A. Wilcotts, very traditional. Now, she lives a contemporary life in California, but she's Lakota, and she's very, very traditional, and she too has knowledge of the Star Nations, and her knowledge is even deeper because she will tell people about what it's like to live as a Lakota woman in a contemporary society, and some of the things that she does when she travels back to the Cheyenne River Reservation in South Dakota, helping children in need, helping to get them out of an emotional place of being distraught and hopeless into a place of hopefulness and having a good life. There are other people, Jerry Wills, Cynthia Crawford, our Tucson's Dan Brock, Stuart Swerdlow, Michael Brown is going to be coming down from Sedona. Incredible gentleman. He has regressed thousands and thousands of people. He has a practice up there.
Okay.
And he's regressed thousands of people that talk about their own experiences meeting ETs and higher dimensional ETs, and he's had his own paranormal experiences.
Right.
So it's going to be a conference of a unique set of individuals who each bring their own experiences, but primarily we're going to be exploring and experiencing our perspectives, telling our stories about what it's like to be on planet Earth during this time of transition, and what we know, what we've learned, what we can share with people for whoever's interested in attending.
Right.
Tolik, I have one real quick question for this.
Sure,
came
go
up
ahead.
this week. For people who want to purchase tickets, if they don't want to use PayPal, can they purchase tickets with money orders? Not everybody's on the computer with PayPal.
Sure.
There are other options.
I first of all, I'll address this. Really is a three-part answer. So that being A, I'll address B, then I'll address C. B is for those people who have either Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. They can go to the transformationalshiftevents.com conferences and events page or the tickets page, and they can use their credit and or debit card in a secure web environment and purchase tickets using their debit or credit cards. That's answer B. Answer C is, I had not thought of the money order issue. I will find a method, and I will create a method so that people can send in money orders. I hadn't thought of it yet, but it's a good
right. I have one person that I know for sure would be more comfortable sending a money order than doing any kind of electronic transaction.
Jim, for the people that are currently in Tucson, and I'm happy to say this on air. I'll ask a favor of you. If you can be a collection point and hold on to that money for those people that are in the Tucson market, go ahead.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's fine.
That makes it real easy. Okay, thank you.
That's fine.
Wonderful. And we do have some listeners asking right now, will DVDs or videos be available of the conference for those who cannot make it? Thank you for that question, by the way.
Okay. And this is because I'm primarily the organizer of this event. This is an answer that I tackled and thought about for a while. And what I've decided to do is, the answer is no. And here's my explanation. The answer is no because I want the people who decide to attend this event to enjoy the energy and all of the advantages of attending a live event like this. As an example, here are two situations. Friday evening, Grandmother Silverstar is going to be providing, if you will, sacred words that will be the official opening ceremony of this conference. Now, the speakers are going to start on Friday morning, but the official opening for the conference will be Friday evening. After that, I and at least one other gentleman who's actually a nationally known recording artist and was actually named Native American Flute Artist of the Year by the Native American by the Native American Music Association. I and that gentleman will be playing Native American flute on Friday evening. Secondarily, or tertiary, Saturday evening, there's going to be a live concert. There's going to be some amazing music on Saturday evening.
So excited!
I'm raising these issues because can you put inside your DVD player or your CD player your favorite music? You sure can. Mm-hmm. But the energy that is transferred and exchanged between people when you're at a live event, whether you go to see Nine Inch Nails or the Rolling Stones or Jars of Clay or the Beatles or anybody else, it just doesn't. You can watch it on big screen, you can watch it on television, but being there, you can't replace it. Mm-hmm. Now, from a practical aspect, there would have to be all sorts of contracts that would need to be issued with disclaimers and approvals on the part of speakers. I'm not going through that.
Right.
Now, might I dedicate one person to roll some video, to record some video for the sake of promoting this conference next year? Yeah, I may do that, but it's going to be minimal, and it'll only be for the purpose of promoting another conference. I'm not going to be making DVD sets available for sale. That's not what this conference is about. The conference is about come and experience this special event with this specific group of people, with the musicians that'll be playing, with the teachers that'll be teaching, so that you can benefit from all the things that you'll get to experience and learn. That was my initial motivation, so I'm kind of sticking by that. I know it's a long answer, but I wanted people to understand my motivation.
Yeah, well, yes, totally understand your motivation, and I just want to thank you both, and thank you for your hard work for pulling this together, because I know that's a lot of energy that you put in to do this for everyone. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. And before we go, I want to acknowledge Jim publicly. We've had, I know that I'm doing a lot of the work, but we've had a number of conversations that have proven invaluable, and sometimes he will just say a couple of things, and I'll go, "Oh yeah, that's right. We need to do that." So it's not always volume; it's the quality of what somebody contributes. And so I publicly want to thank Jim for his contributions.
Yeah,
and collecting those checks.
I'm all things considered, I feel like I'm just cheering you on from the sideline. This is in so many ways, this is your conference. And I'm happy to contribute, and I'm even more happy to help Yvonne contribute also. So it's like that's sure it's going to make it special for everybody.
Oh, well, thank you, and I cannot wait. I mean,
it'll be fun.
Ready to. This is just wonderful. So thank you, and
she's just looking for another excuse to come back to Aaron.
And you'll get to do it when it's. And for everybody that's never been to Tucson in the third week of October is almost optimum. It's like 82, 84 degrees. It's comfortable. It's dry.
Oh, I'll tell you. I will tell you what, Tolek. I cannot wait to see that big, beautiful sky over there.
Gorgeous.
Oh, my heavens.
And if I can arrange it with the people at the hotel, we're holding it at the Doubletree Reed Park, which is a beautiful facility. It's been through incredible renovations over the course of the past 6 to 8 years, including recently. Mm-hmm. They want us there. They absolutely want us there, so they're going out of their way to do some special things. It's likely that the Saturday night concert, we're probably going to do it outside under the stars.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be even more special. So I'm jazzed. I'm very, very excited. It's just going to be a special event, especially with our Native American guests who will set a unique tone. They just have a different way of doing things, and people will learn things they've never heard before, I'm sure.
I cannot wait.
Way cool. It's gonna be fun.
Way cool. So thank you. And I want to thank you both for going overtime tonight, and both of you for being on the show. I would love to thank all of our listeners out there. What a way to do our first Friday night here at PITNRadioNetwork.com. That's Paranormal Into the Night. And I will tell you, this has just been a wonderful show, and thank you. I want to thank everyone. So again, I want to remind you, Tolek's information is www.andromedacouncil.com. He has a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel's name is Tolek from Dakota. Okay. Jim Nichols, that's right, Jim Nichols is www.JimNicholsUFO.net. Please check it out. There's some wonderful video documentaries there.
You might want to spell it out for him.
Would you like me? Okay, sure.
Spell it out.
JimNicholsUFO, and that's .net. And if you would like to check out that wonderful conference in October, folks, again, www.transformationalshiftevents.com. Check out all those speakers there. It's going to be wonderfully magical. I know I cannot wait.
Yes.
Check out our show tomorrow morning, folks, with Jackie O at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Next Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. Pacific time, we are going to have right here Eric Rains, etheric implant removal. Next Groovy Bean show, again, is always Friday nights at 6 p.m. James Edward Swager, Megalithic Acoustic Mystery. And I'll tell you what, listen up, folks, as we're signing off here. There are two wolves. They are always fighting. One is darkness and despair. The other is light and hope. Which wolf wins? Jim Nichols, which wolf wins?
The one that you feed.
That's right, the one that you feed. Remember, friends, to be safe, be kind, and be courageous. This is Yvonne Palermo, a.k.a. the Groovy Bean, and you're all Groovy Beans, too. I'm going to sign out. See you next time. Tolek and Jim, thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. And thank you, Dino Ewelt, from the producer. I love you back there. Thank you. And thank you, Jim. Tolek, you want to say
we love
Yvonne.
you too, Yvonne. We love you
Take
too.
care.
love you both.
Thanks for having us.
All right. And love you listeners out there. Be sure to tune in next time. Thank you all. Good night.